Hello guys, welcome to another video from our Driving TV channel. Here's Hazard Materials exam number 2. In this video, we provide you guys with all the questions and answers needed in order to pass. Here you'll be able to study and best prepare you for that examination. For part 1 exam, you can go ahead and check our channel. If this was helpful for you, make sure and give it a thumbs up, comment below, and subscribe for more educational videos. Thank you and best of luck. Hazard Materials Exam 2. A hazardous materials identification number is determined by the shipper. You have loaded a hazardous material into a cargo. What must you do before you move the vehicle? Close all manholes and valves. Be sure they are free of leaks. You have a vehicle without racks to hold cylinders or compressed gas. You may load such cylinders only if they are loaded upright or lying down flat and braced. When transporting chlorine in cargo tanks, what must you have? Both of the above. An emergency kit for controlling leaks and fittings on the dome cover plate, and an approved gas mask. When can the shipping name or the hazardous material identification number be abbreviated on the shipping paper? Only if regulations specifically authorized the shipper to do it. Your engine runs a pump when you're delivering compressed gas. After finishing the delivery, when should you turn off the engine? Turn it off before unhooking the hoses. Which of the following materials are acceptable? Floor liners for transporting Division 1.1 or 1.2 materials. Non-ferrous metal. Where are the two main places that the hazardous material identification number appears? On the shipping papers and on the packages. You can haul 1.1 explosive with radioactive material. When fueling a placarded vehicle, someone must always be at the nozzle controlling the fuel flow. What is Chemtrack's primary job? They coordinate and advise companies on spills. They also link up proper authorities with those companies. How many identical placards is a vehicle hauling hazardous materials required to display and wear? 4. One on the front, one on the back, and one on each side of the vehicle. With most hazardous materials, you may park within 5 feet of the road briefly if your work requires it. The materials that are the exception and do not allow parking this close to the road are explosives 1.1 through 1.3. Who is responsible for checking to be sure the shipper correctly named, labeled, and marked a hazardous materials shipment? The carrier. There are 3 lists that drivers, shippers, and carriers use to find out if a material is regulated as hazardous. Which one of these choices is not one of these three lists? EPA, Dangerous Materials List. Who is responsible for safely transporting a hazardous material shipment without delay and keeping the shipping papers in the right place? The driver. When a spill occurs of an RQ substance the carrier has within to report the spill. 30 days. You're going to be hauling hazardous materials over a route you do not know well. When should you check the route and get the permits needed for the trip? Before starting the trip. A placard is required for a combustible liquid at more than 119 gallons. Column 1, or the symbols column the D signs mean domestic transportation. What is a technical name? The name of a hazardous material used in scientific journals and texts, recognized as its chemical or microbiological name. Which of the following hazard classes uses a transport index to determine how much of it can be loaded on a single vehicle for transport? Class 7, radioactive materials. Which of the following are necessary qualifications for non-bulk packaging? All of the above. A maximum net mass of 400 kilograms, 882 pounds or less, and a maximum capacity of 450 liters, 119 gallons or less if used as a receptacle for a solid. A water capacity of 454 kilograms, 1,000 pounds or less if used as a receptacle for a gas. A maximum capacity of 450 liters, 119 gallons, or less if used as a receptacle for a liquid. Why does the government regulate the transportation of hazardous materials? Because while being transported, they pose a risk to health, property, or safety. A properly prepared uniform hazardous waste manifest. Must be signed by each carrier transporting the shipment. Identification numbers are preceded by the letters UN or NA. The letters NA are associated with proper shipping names that are used where? Within the United States and to and from Canada. You may not park a vehicle carrying hazardous materials within feet of an open fire. 300 feet. What type fire extinguisher is required in the power unit of a placarded vehicle? A UL rating of 10 BC or above. To find out if a shipment includes a hazardous material, you should look at the shipping papers. Cylinders containing compressed gases may only be loaded onto a vehicle without a flat floor or platform if the cylinders are All the answers are correct. Loaded in an upright or horizontal position, loaded into racks attached to the vehicles, or in boxes that will keep them from turning over. You're hauling hazardous materials and you find out that one of the tires is leaking. You must stop at the nearest safe place and fix it. Shipping papers must always be kept in one place when driving with hazardous materials. Wear when wearing your seatbelt. All answers are correct. In a pouch on the driver's door and within reach always. You have loaded a hazardous materials into a cargo tank. What must you do before you move the vehicle? Close all manholes and valves. Be sure they are free of leaks. The hazardous material identification number must be displayed on portable tanks, cargo tanks, and other bulk packaging. The regulations require black numbers. 100 millimeters. The Emergency Response Guidebook, ERG, does all of the above. Contains an index of hazardous materials identification number, which is why you must label things correctly, was created by the U.S. Department of Transportation and is used nationwide, and is studied by emergency personnel to help keep the public safe. You should stop before crossing a railroad grade if your vehicle is carrying of chlorine. Any amount of chlorine. If you are in an accident involving hazardous materials, you should keep all people far away and upwind of the accident. It is recommended that when hauling a load of explosive 1.1 or 1.3 to use the fuses instead of the warning triangles if in an emergency or breakdown situation. Falls. Who is responsible for packaging, labeling, and preparing the hazardous material shipping papers for a common carrier? The shipper. Class 1.1 explosives must not be transported in a combination vehicle if the vehicle includes a placarded cargo tank, a vehicle contains 500 pounds each of explosive 1.1 and 1.3. You must use explosives 1.1 placards. A railroad crossing is ahead of you and you are hauling hazardous material. When you stop for the crossing, you can stop as far away as feet from the nearest rail. 50 feet from the nearest rail. The hazardous waste manifest should be tabbed differently and kept on top of all other paperwork. Column 1 or the symbols column the plus sign means the proper shipping name without regard whether the material meets the definition of that class. How often should you check the tires on a placarded trailer that has the dual tires? At the start of each trip and every time you stop. Whenever you load or unload a cargo tank, a qualified person must be within 25 feet. Containment rules specify how to package, load, transport, and unload hazardous materials safely. Smoking must be at least feet from the most hazardous material. 25 feet. In the hazardous material table, column 3, any shipping name written in italics means it isn't the proper shipping name. Those in Roman type above it are.